The 6th hole at Augusta National is a 180 yards par 3 known as Juniper, but it plays significantly downhill, so it really won't even play to that yardage. Nobody's going to hit more than a medium iron these days. Some guys may even hit 8 or 9 iron. But the defense of the hole really is the green itself. The green has got a lot going on. There's a fair amount of contour. There's almost distinct zones on the green, and so players really want to make sure they find that correct area to avoid three putting. And it's another green where you'll see some three putting. One of the easier pin locations on the course really is the front left pin at the 6th hole. Contours direct balls to that pin, so you'll see some scoring there. The harder pin location is back left. Players really will not want to go over the green, and so it's hard to be very aggressive with that pin location. So guys tend to come up short and have a fairly lengthy putt, and any lengthy putt at Augusta National can be tricky. I personally find the back right pin position to be a very interesting one. It's rare, I think, that you find true risk-reward characteristics on a par 3, but I think the 6th has that, and it's really with this back right pin. So the back right is in essence a shelf, an elevated area that falls significantly away outside of the green on the right, but significantly away on the left back into the green. So players will need to attack this pin and try to hold this shelf. If they do so, they've got a very, very distinct chance at a birdie, because a small area will be a small putt. If they miss left and catch the contour, they can end up with a very lengthy putt that has to go back up the hill onto the shelf, and it's very easy for balls to sort of roll out on the shelf, and all of a sudden they're left with a 5 or 6 foot really testy par putt. If they miss right off the green, that's a very, very difficult recovery just to even play back onto the shelf. There's something very neat, I think, about this pin position. It's not uncommon that you might see one player birdie that pin and another player bogey, and all of a sudden there starts to be some sort of drama if it's a final pairing or something of that nature. The hole historically is played to a tenth of a shot over par, though it played a little bit higher last year. I think it was 3.22 scoring average last year. There's been some interesting history here, like every hole at Augusta National. Billy Joe Patton made a hole-in-one in his pursuit to become the first amateur to ever win the Masters. He ultimately ended up missing out by a stroke, missed out of a playoff by a stroke. And then Jose Maria Olazabal got into all kinds of trouble here putting, and ultimately four-putted, and it was the year Ian Woosnam won by, I think, a stroke over Olazabal. So you got to be careful with the 6th hole, but it can yield some scoring opportunities as well. And with the 5th hole being pretty challenging and difficult, I think players kind of want to get a par. But 6, 7, 8 can be very scoreable holes, and so I think the mentality a little bit is that the 6 is sort of the start of maybe making a run and getting into the back 9, which is obviously very scoreable on certain days. So you can look for guys to really have the attitude of, let me kind of really start my round here at the 6th and really start to try to make a move. So 6 is always an interesting one to watch. It's also, I think, a very interesting patron area in that the patrons are tight around the tee, looking down the hill, but a lot of patrons gather between the tee and the green on the flattish area. That in a previous incarnation there used to be a stream that went through there and a lake went through there, but all that was removed in 1950. So anyway, there's a bunch of open space there that really looks back towards the 16th hole, and so and you've got all the patron seating along the pond at 16 and the Chairman's Hill and the normally a big gorgeous azalea area. It's a very pretty part of the property, and so you can have a lot of drama and interesting things going on with something exciting happening at 6, something exciting happening at 16, and a lot of patrons in this sort of beautiful area of the property. So it's always a spot when I'm at Augusta. I always love going down through this area because it can be a very, very sort of exciting part of the property.